It's important for you to understand that your experience facing and overcoming adversity is actually one of your biggest advantages. Everybody wants to fulfill the highest, truest expression of yourself.
Hey, it is your girl, Jacque, and I'm back with another episode of the Shift and Uplift podcast, where we keep it real, raw, and always inspiring. First off, thank you for being a part of this amazing community where we are all about growth, positivity, and living our best lives. Today, we're going to dive deep into a topic I believe that many of us have experienced: ignoring the red flags in relationships and situationships. You know what I'm talking about. Those little signs that we know something isn't quite right, but we push them aside and we keep going. Why? Because we're caught up in the moment. We think that we can turn lemons into lemonade with just a little extra sugar. But sometimes those lemons are just too sour and we end up sipping on a cocktail of denial, hurt, and regret. So let's get into it. Picture this. You're in a relationship with someone who's got that perfect mix of charm, excitement, and just enough mystery to keep you on your toes. It's thrilling, it's fun, and it's like living in a movie where you're the star. But then there it is, a little red flag waving in distance. Maybe it's something they said, maybe it's something they did, or maybe it's just a gut feeling. Maybe it's something that you've experienced before. Who knows? But you ignore it. You're thinking, it's not a big deal. I can handle this. After all, nobody's perfect, right? We're all human. We all make mistakes. Well, let me tell you, you 7-figure soul babe. Those are the red flags for a reason. And if you keep pretending that they're not, you may just end up in a storm that you never seen coming. So let me share story time. Keep in mind, my disclaimer is some of these stories may be mine, some of them not. You'll never know. So 2 + 2 does not equal 8. Okay. Now, with that being said, once upon a time, back in someone's past life, someone got involved with someone who on the surface seemed like a dream. This person was fun, caring, and they had all the magnetic energy that drew me in like a moth to a flame. But underneath that charm was a life full of chaos. He had a hard past, a hard life, a lot of baggage, and he was struggling to get his life together, right? But it's not because the person was a bad person. He just got a bad hand. But me, being the fixer-upper I thought I was, I wanted to help. I wanted to be the sunshine in a storm, the glue that held him together. It started off great. Things were fun and exciting, and he would even maybe put his life on the line. It felt like we were on top of the world. But then the red flags just started to pop in. I noticed he wasn't as stable as it appeared. He talked a big game and a good one. Gosh, he was so fun, right? But the actions, it just didn't always match up. You know that feeling when you start to realize that the person you thought you may know is not really who they are? Yeah, that's what happened. But instead of listening to that little voice in my head, I ignored it. I thought, he's a good person at heart. He just needs someone to believe in him. So I kept trying. I kept trying and I kept twisting and I kept squeezing and trying to turn those sour lemons into lemonade, adding more sugar. And I just kept hoping that it would get sweeter. But here's the thing. No matter how much sugar you add, some lemons are just too bitter. And the more I ignored those red flags, the more I found myself tangled up in a situation that wasn't good for either of us. I was pouring from an empty cup, trying to fill his, and I end up drained, burnt out, and wondering, how did I even get here in the first place? I had to learn the hard way that just because someone has good tendencies and they make you laugh, it doesn't mean they're right for you. It just doesn't mean that you guys are meant to be together. So what are red flags, right? Red flags are those little signs of something that something just isn't right. It can be a gut feeling, a pattern of behavior, or even just a single moment that makes you pause. The key to recognize them is recognizing them for who they are, warnings that need your attention. We often overlook these signs because we're caught up in the good parts of the person, in the good parts of the relationship. We want love and we want to feel safe and we want that happily ever after. We convince ourselves that we can fix the problem. We can just change, we can just talk it out and things will be fine. But ignoring red flags is like ignoring a storm warning. The storm is coming whether you acknowledge it or not. Number 2, why we ignore those red flags. Why do we ignore red flags? The world may never know. Well, I kind of think that sometimes it's because we're afraid of being alone. Sometimes we feel that we would rather deal with the bad stuff than face the possibility of losing out on the little good that's there. Other times it's just because we invested so much time and energy into the situationship or the relationship that we don't want to admit that it may not work out. And let's be real, sometimes we think that we can change the person. Well, sometimes we just think that we see their potential, and let's be real. Sometimes we think we can change the person. We see their potential and we believe that with enough love and support and patience that they'll become who we really want them to be. But let me tell you this, you can't change someone who doesn't want to change themselves. It doesn't matter how much that you want them to be great, how much you want their life to be easier or smoother, how much you want to help, how much you see the great in them, the good in them, the awesome sauce in them. They have to want that. They have to see it. And if they don't, they're going to keep on storming your life until it's nothing else to storm. Number 3, the cost of ignoring red flags. Ignoring red flags can lead to a whole lot of heartache. You might find yourself in a toxic relationship that drains all of your energy. It just chips away at your self-esteem, your confidence, and the little part of love and emotion and feelings that you have left. It can leave you feeling lost. The longer you stay, the harder it becomes to walk away. So when you decide to stay, it's nothing wrong with that. But just realize how much harder it's going to be in a month or in another year or in another 5 months. And here's the truth. Pouring from an empty cup is just emptiness multiplied. You can't give what you don't have. And trying to save someone else at the cost of your own well-being, it's going to leave you with absolutely nothing to give. So while that person is flourishing, moving on with their life, you're still stuck here picking up the pieces that you helped them with. Recognizing when it's time to walk away. Ooh, geez Louise, this is the hardest part of them all, right? So how do you know when it's time to walk away? Listen to that gut of yours. If something doesn't feel right, don't ignore it. Pay attention to the patterns. If you're constantly making excuses for someone else's behavior, or if you feel like you're giving more than you're getting, baby girl, it's time to reassess. Remember, it's okay to walk away from something that's just not serving you. No matter how much you care about the person, just because you're a good person at heart, it just doesn't mean that they're good for you. So, 7-figure soul babes, I want you guys to remember this. Your happiness, your peace, your well-being, it's all worth protecting. You don't have to stay in a situation that doesn't serve you just because you see potential in someone. See potential in them from a distance, from afar. It's okay to walk away. It's okay to prioritize yourself, and it's okay to say, this just isn't for me. Next time you see those red flags and they're waving in distance, don't ignore them. They're there to protect you. They're there to guide you, and they're there to help you make the best decision for yourself, for your life. You are so worthy of a love that uplifts you and not one that drains you. Speaking of uplifting, in our next episode, I know that we're going to dive so deep into a topic that we know is just basically about when it's time to let go, because you can't save everybody. It's going to be real, it's going to be deep, and it's going to be something that we all need to hear. So remember, you can't drown with everyone. Saving someone else at the cost of your own life, it won't do you any good. Wish them well, but know when it's time to let go. Until next time, keep shining, keep growing, and keep living your best life. I love you. If you enjoyed this episode, just make sure to subscribe, share it with a friend, and leave a review. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. Be Jacque Allen. JACQUEALLEN. I love connecting with you all, reading your stories, and I can't wait to hear your thoughts on this episode. Stay blessed.